I built a Claude Skill that pulls comps in about 90 seconds, as accurately as I am, or even better. I'm going to run it live on a real address so you can see exactly how it works. Hi, I'm Dahae. I'm a commercial lender, and pulling comps on a deal used to take me like 30 minutes. Looking up Zillow, Redfin, copying pasting data into a spreadsheet every single time. I wanted this to match my exact steps to underwrite a deal so I can trust it. So I found a skill that I can build on top of it. Most AI stuff is confusing. This one, you can check exactly how it works and verify it by manually comping yourself. What AI does best is following specific steps, SOPs, to complete a task that you manually have to do over and over again. Comping is the one thing you do on every single deal following the same steps. It's easy to mess up if you rush, and the risk of doing it wrong is too big if you buy a bad deal. If you're constantly underwriting deals, this is where your time goes, and most of that time is wasted because most of those deals don't turn into real deals. You don't need to be technical. This runs in Cloud Web, desktop app, wherever you use it. I'll show you exactly what I type. Here's how I went from 30 minutes comping to 90 seconds. I kept adding more rules to pull the comps exactly how I would, so now it runs in about 15 minutes. To start, do /real estate comps and paste in the subject property address. What the agent is reading here is really just the skill instructions I've written for it. So now the browser is connected. It's opening Zillow because it needs live listing and sold data. On the left is the agent workflow, and on the right, you can watch the Zillow page it's navigating in real time. It's looking at the subject property details right now and recording the data. Now it's searching for comparable sales and tightening the results. One of the first filters I like to use is year built, usually within plus or minus 20 years to start, and ideally tighter if the market supports it. From here, the agent is reviewing the property cards and deciding which comps are worth opening up based on the criteria in the skill, especially things like square footage, sales relevance, how recently it's sold, and overall similarity. So it's looking at 9 comps. As it's opening each property, it's capturing the details and building the comp set step by step. You can actually follow the reasoning by expanding the workflow and seeing each action. So this may not always be faster than doing it yourself, and it may not always be more accurate. The point is to remove the repetitive step-by-step research so you can spend more time on judgment and critical thinking. It's now looking at the next comp by pulling up the new page, and it's going to look at the details and on to the next one. Comp 3 details are recorded, and it's looking at the next one. Here it realized the first comp pool wasn't strong enough, so it's going back to find better matches. In this case, comps with larger square footage and a tighter fit. It's happy to see better comps, and now it's going to go through the same steps, recording comp 6 and moving on to the comp 7. Comp 7 details are recorded. Now it has the full comp set. And this is where the logic really kicks in. It's scoring the comps, checking for distressed properties, comparing recency, and applying the underwriting rules I built into the skill. It's also estimating the appropriate price per square foot range from the comp pool, then adjusting each comp to reflect what its value would look like if it matched the subject property more closely. For each comp, it calculates an adjusted value, basically what that comp would likely be worth if it had the same characteristic as the subject property. Based on those adjusted values, it gives me a weighted average, a median, and then a final fair market value estimate. In this run, the headline fair market value came in at around $716,000 with a broader value range around it. I don't treat that as a single number I blindly trust. I use the range based on the property's actual condition. More conservative if it needs work, closer to the upper end if it's one of the stronger homes in the area. It also projects what a DSCR loan amount could look like after the rehab, which helps me think through cash out potential or how much cash I might need to bring into the deal. Then it gives me market context, how recent the sales are, whether the market looks stable or appreciating, and how active the area is. That matters because a strong comp set in an active market gives me more confidence in the estimate. This confidence score is based on things like data quality, price alignment, comp relevance, and market trend. In this example, the total score was 72 out of 100, which I would consider reasonably strong. Now comes the real test. I'm going to compare the agent's result to an actual appraisal report so we can see how close it got. Let's look. The appraisal came in at $725,000, while the agent estimated about $716,000. That's very close, and it's exactly the kind of validation I want when I'm testing or refining this skill. I also like checking whether the appraiser and the agent selected any of the same comps. In this case, they shared at least one comp, which is another encouraging signal. But even with a strong result like this, I still wouldn't trust it blindly. The right approach is to use this as high-quality initial research, compare it to a source of truth, and then keep refining the rules based on what the market actually rewards. And if I see a comp from the appraisal that the agent didn't use, I can ask why. That gives me a direct way to improve the skill. You can update the rules so the next run gets even closer. To be clear, this isn't an appraisal and doesn't replace one. It's how I screen deals fast before I ever pay for one. But look how close it gets in 90 seconds for free. This isn't magic, it's a skill, basically a written SOP your agent follows the same way every time. I have one for comps, one for deeper analysis, one for triaging and drafting my emails, and one for managing my deal pipeline and go high level. Free up 20 plus hours a week with these 5 foundational agents. Turn any 30 minutes job to 90-second runs. If you want to build this exact comping agent yourself, I wrote a step-by-step guide and it covers 4 other agents too. If you would rather not build it yourself, there's a done for you option in there. Either way, hope you have a clear plan to implement AI in your business to get ahead and stay competitive.